What is biblically accurate pingu? Pingu's not in the Bible. What on earth is going on? People do not want to acknowledge how completely nonsensical biblically accurate is as an internet term. It's a 6-7 in disguise. This all started with a Tumblr post in 2016 by user Revolution 19. Many internet users have connected the threatening appearance of cherubim to the phrase, "be not afraid." But this phrase is not actually used by cherubim or Ophanim in the Bible. I mean, sure, God, Jesus, the angels, and even Moses say, "be not afraid." It's throughout the Bible. It's even in Christmas carols. But in pop culture, this phrase belongs to the many-eyed and the many-winged. You can now buy biblically accurate, "be not afraid" Ophanim and cherubim merch. It seems that messing with eyes is one of the easiest ways to disturb an audience. So I want to explore how we play with eyes through culture, particularly when we start multiplying the eyes. Is this a paranoia over being perceived like the eyes of the ever-watching panopticon? Or rather, do we relate somehow to the many-eyed beasts? These many-eyed beasts express the torment of living itself, of interacting with the world stuffed to the gills with visual information. Let's look at some many-eyed beasts throughout culture and see if we can figure out what's going on. Here we have the multi-ocular O, a glyph used in the Old Church. It's a Slavonic word meaning many-eyed seraphim from the Book of Psalms from around 1429. I'm not going to try and pronounce this word, but here it is. This is the earliest artistic depiction of a biblically accurate angel. It's a mutant, comically oversized letter, which reminds me of the mutated thousand-eyed creatures from the Simpsons movie. A squirrel falls into a toxic lake and becomes a mutant harbinger of the end of times for Springfield. But the multi-ocular O, cool as it is a misnomer. Seraphim have many wings, not many eyes. Our many-eyed friends are the Ophanim and the cherubim. So let's talk about Ezekiel's vision, the thing that started this cultural chokehold, and the most vivid description of angels in the Bible. In Ezekiel 1:15 through 21, we get the Ophanim. I saw a wheel on the ground, beside each creature with its 4 faces. They sparkled like topaz, and each creature looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel, intersecting a wheel. All 4 rims were full of eyes all around. The spirit of living creatures were in the wheels. Ezekiel 10:17 describes the cherubim. Their entire bodies, including their backs, their hands, and their wings, were completely full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels. Ezekiel is absolutely terrified by this vision. He falls on his face. This vision mobilizes Ezekiel to become a prophet, and by proxy, mobilizes the reader into action. It is a visualization of the fear of God's omniscience. God is always watching. God sees everything. Every act, good, bad, or indifferent, is catalogued. Despite it being one of the most detailed angel descriptions in the Bible, we only start to get artistic interpretations of this bizarre description in the late Middle Ages. In the past 50 years, Ezekiel-esque imagery has been popping up all over. Guillermo del Toro has 4 notable eye monsters: the Angel of Death from Hellboy 2, the Wood Sprite from Pinocchio, the Reaper from Blade 2, and the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth, who places the 2 eyeballs in the fleshy palm of his hands. Like this guy, he loves eyes. The Angel of Death and the Wood Sprite's eye-covered wings signal their omniscience. The Angel of Death and the Pale Man both lack eyes on their faces. In an interview with Michael Gillen in 2006, Del Toro said, "The Pale Man represents the church for me. He represents fascism and the church eating the children when they have a perversely abundant banquet in front of them. There's almost a hunger to eat innocence, a hunger to eat purity." So the eyes become a visual representation of the wealthy and powerful's willing blindness of their own actions. The Pale Man stands for people who have intentionally made themselves blind to disconnect themselves from their own actions and thereby justify their own actions. The Angel of Death is forever perceiving, whereas the Pale Man must activate his vision. Probably the most popular anime movie of the 1990s was Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it's filled with many-eyed beasts. One of the most monstrous examples appears in The end of Evangelion. It's basically the end of the world, where all beings dissolve into a mass and there's a cross that rises and covers itself with eyes. In Evangelion, the character Shinji is terrified of human connection. The hedgehog's dilemma is used throughout the show to convey this. A hedgehog cannot get close to another hedgehog without their spines hurting each other in the process. It's a very delicate operation. So the hedgehog's dilemma is a desire for close relationships on the one hand versus the fear of being hurt on the other. It was coined by the 18th century German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer and popularized by Sigmund Freud. The third impact, or the end of the world, dissolves all of this. Instead, humanity merges into one conglomerate being, more or less-ish. Anyway, look at all those eyes. The monstrous pain of connection and the importance of individuality are expressed in these mutant beings. They have as many souls crammed into them as there are pairs of eyes. Here the eyes do not signify enhanced or corrupted vision, but rather the bodily horror of human connection. Much like Dodomeki in Japanese folklore, punished for being thieves, their arms are covered in hundreds of birds' eyes. Sometimes there are human eyes as well. Sometimes they are stolen coins that have turned into eyes. They are cursed to be endlessly, listlessly perceiving, their vigilance and thieving eye taken to an ironic extreme as punishment, but also to be perceived as monstrous. So it's a combination of two fears. One, being watched, and two, being forced to watch. But they're kind of two sides of the same coin. The Lord of the Rings also uses the eye to combine these anxieties. At the start of the Fellowship of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins says about carrying the ring, it would be a relief, in a way, not to be bothered with it anymore. It has been so growing in my mind lately. Sometimes I have felt it was like an eye looking at me, and I'm always wanting to put it on and disappear. The tension between the seen and the seen thing and desire to completely disappear from view is evident in that. Later, Galadriel's vision for Frodo is, in the black abyss there appears a single eye that slowly grew until it filled nearly all the mirror. Frodo stood rooted, unable to cry out or withdraw his gaze. A black slit of a pupil opened onto a pit, a window into nothing. So Frodo knows the eye cannot see him, but he is looking at looking, endlessly bouncing back and forth between being the perceived and the perceiver. Or to quote Friedrich Nietzsche, you stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. There is a very similar scene in the medieval poem, Romaunt of the Rose, circa around 1360. An English translation, potentially Chaucer's, of the French text Le Roman de la Rose, circa 1230, let's say. Narcissus himself appears in this poem, and he's really quite our favorite person to perceive. Narcissus looks into a fountain, and his reflection is imagined as a shadow, as a darker, ulterior version of himself. And in the water anon was seen his nose, his mouth, his eye and shine, and he thereof was all abashed. His shadow had him betrashed, him staring deep into a fountain. It goes on for like 50 lines. Like Frodo, he is trapped in this reflected vision. He is looking at looking. Four eyes imprison each other by the act of sight. So far we've encountered eyes on wheels, eyes in the palm of your hands, and just eyes. But these are metaphors for the anxiety of seeing and being seen. Now we have the malevolent eye of modern digital surveillance everywhere. CCTV, in the supermarket, parking lots, train stations, phones with cameras in everybody's eyes. You are always being watched, catalogued, and recorded. In the same way that God did to Ezekiel, we are now doing to each other. This modern reality has been taken to its logical conclusion in the recently published thriller, The House of the Judas Goat, by Douglas Kruger. In this gripping story, the thousand eyes of men are watching and bidding for youngsters. So it's not the eye of God we're now worried about, it's each other. Cameras? Hundreds of them, everywhere. Every mirror, every room, most of the corridors, they're so flush, they're practically invisible. In this book, you never know who is speaking on the dark web forum. And after our heroine, Kendall, escapes, she says about the two policemen, Blur 1 and 2, were speaking to her, but the words were gibberish. So there's an anonymity to technology which extends to reality itself. People have become faceless and voiceless profiles. And the only semblance of a face in the digital world is the eye of the camera itself, though it can speak and listen like a person. Well, in 2001: A Space Odyssey and subsequently WALL-E, they did a really good job of communicating the malevolence of this digital eye, abstracted from the face. Hal and Otto. Great sci-fi films often like to abstract features of the human face and body as a metaphor for the anatomizing of humanity. Facehuggers, like hands and severed heads of robots from Alien, the removable faces from Ex Machina, every aspect of John Carpenter's The Thing, the many-eyed, many-armed machines from The Matrix, everyone in Blade Runner gouging out each other's eyes, and how could we forget A Clockwork Orange's eye scene? House of the Judas Goat draws on the body horror of the digital world around us and its thousand eyes. Modernity is full of eyes, like our Cherubim and Ophanim. This reflects a deep cultural anxiety that we have replaced the omniscience of God with the omniscience of the state. It's the absence of recognizable humanity, but the persistence of eyes.